Hey, I'm Václav. I'm part of Logos project. I like to hack on things, and I am here to try to explain to people how they can build truly decentralized applications and help them build them.
So, hi Václav.
Hey, Peter.
Thanks for coming. For people, for people who don't know you well, can you just say a few words? Like, what do you do?
My name is Václav, and I'm a chaos agent. That's what I say at Logos. Privacy enthusiast, software engineer. I like bleeding edge technology. I was always playing around with stuff that other people around me didn't understand. So I guess that's how I got to blockchain a couple of years ago and Web3 in general. I'm mostly a software developer, I guess. I like to hack on things. I don't write production code. I hate production code. So I would rather do some POCs and then give it to someone that actually is can think about things for a long enough time to actually make it secure and usable. But yeah, I work on a project called Logos, where there are a bunch of sub-projects called Waku, Codex, Nomos, Keycard, and probably seen them around. Trying to be active in the privacy and censorship-resistant focused communities. So I do talks for military privacy now and at conferences and recording demos and things like that. So that's
Yeah. Can you just tell a bit about Logos and Waku and maybe as a project like ZK Passport, whatever you feel like fits here in privacy narrative?
Sure. So Logos itself is basically can be viewed from two angles. One angle is the technical stack, and that's like, if we ever want to build a network state, which we probably want to build a network state or a cyber state or a blockchain community, depends on how you want to call it, what do we need to be able to build it? And so original white paper of Ethereum comes up with the three pillars, the trifecta, the messaging, storage, and consensus. And so that's kind of what we are building as well. Waku as a messaging, Codex as a storage, and Nomos as a consensus. And then you can split the angle a bit more and maybe I don't care about the technology too much. Maybe I care more about the ideology, the activism. And so Logos is looking into that or working in that space as well, trying to rally people up for peaceful protest or for building parallel societies, for building parallel systems that can help them improve their own life without reliance on these centralized powers that try to surveil and coerce, right? So we're running meetups, Logos circles around the world in various cities. We're working with Internet Archive, we're working with other activist groups in a sense, and trying to find ways to build these parallel societies and to build the network of people that are aligned towards privacy, towards censorship resistance, towards decentralization.
Yeah, thanks for expanding on that. A beautiful mission, I adore personally. But the question is, like me, you, I think many people who will watch that are eager to get to this network state of things. But the question is, how do we get there? Because there are so many obstacles. Do you see any roadmap that making it really possible?
Yes. Actually, whenever I heard about network states, whenever I heard our founder, Jared, talk, I was like, but what now? Yeah, I mean, I see that there is something wrong, but what now?
Network privacy state now.
But I think the actual way to get that running is through the people. So we have this sticker which says exit through the network, and I never understood what that means until we started building these hyperlocal communities, the Logos circles, where actually the circle community comes together and tries to do something about something. So they find a winnable issue, local issue, and they actually fix it. So we went to Zanzibar for Zanzibar, and we talked to local people, and we found a guy that's running a community school. And we're like, what do you need? And he's like, well, we would like to teach the kids computers. I'm like, so you need computers? We need computers. Well, that's expensive. Or maybe we can get you 10 Raspberry Pis, and then you set it up and kids can start. And so last week we got a video of 10 kids typing something in LibreOffice on those Raspberry Pis that we got, and that's the mission, right? So like, find the people around you that want to change something, and then change it. And don't rely on the government, don't rely on big corps to help you. Just do it. Figure out a way. Talk to us, talk to Web3 Privacy Now, talk to whoever you can find that has some outreach, and get them work with you, get them help you, right? And I think that's how we get to network state. We build parallel society in Czechoslovakia in communist era. There was this essay written by Václav called Parallel Polis. And there is a building in Prague that had Parallel Polis name on it for a long time. And so the Parallel Polis essay talks about how you cannot go against a government that is full of propaganda, full of control, and is authoritarian. But you can build a parallel society in the kind of gaps where it doesn't solve issues. So you can build a parallel economy where you exchange things with people, or you exchange the favors, right? You can build a parallel education system if you don't think the education is good enough. And so by building the parallel society, you are not infringing on the system, so the system doesn't come after you too much, but you are already solving issues and building things. And now we have the tools for global parallel societies, I would say, or building the tools which preserve privacy, which cannot be censored, which give you the way to have peer-to-peer access to other people around the world without relying on the centralized system, right? So I think that's the path to network states, through the people doing something locally, fixing things, helping each other, connecting with other circles, cells, groups, whatever you want to call it, and then building the network of people. So if you need help on the other side of the planet, you already have that network of people that can do something there.
Yeah, it's a great start. 100% agree. But my personal concern is, like, for me, this network state thing, it seems a bit more utopian just because of the monopoly of violence that governments have. And the question is, do you feel that is there any way that, like, network state can, I don't know, play with it and, like, disperse this monopoly on violence?
So I think I'm not the right person to ask, because I don't know. Okay. I think if you talk to Jared, he will have answers. They published the book with Pete Ludlow, The Farewell to Westphalia, where they talk about all these things. I think that more and more people are noticing that the nation states are failing, like, in various ways. Some services, more taxes, less services, worse services, right? And even ordinary people, like, I follow some Web2 coders on X or something, and they start posting things that it sounds like if they took it from Jared's book. And like, that means that not even just us focusing on these small issues, small cracks, there are already people out there seeing the cracks as well. And so I think that it will kind of break itself down, and we just need to be ready with the tools for people to, like, help them build something up again, right? So, like, I don't know how you can break the monopoly of violence other than having another violence. I would like to avoid that. So I don't have an answer.
Yeah, that's totally fine. It's not an easy question, and there is no answer for that. But it's like, I'm just trying to approach it from maybe different perspectives, because it's my personal, like, question as well. I don't have an answer for that.
But, like, I always, these days, I just always go back to the parallel policies, right? Because the communists in Czechoslovakia in, like, 70s, they also had the violence was there, and they had the monopoly on that, and they were very violent, right? But the people were still able to, even without the technology, build peer-to-peer networks, peer-to-peer human networks, and distribute educational materials, distribute goods, distribute things that they needed, right? And so the violence was there, but the idea of the parallel society is that you do not necessarily go against to receive back the violence. You go kind of alongside. And if that parallel society is good enough and influential enough, it can potentially flip the other society, the first culture. Like, now in some parts of the world, it's called second culture, first culture, right? So the second culture can flip the first culture if it's powerful enough. And the current kind of, the mainstream is corrupted enough or broken enough, right? So I think that is really the way. Like, you cannot go against it, because then you get squashed. And you cannot probably easily rally enough people unless you are in Nepal to overthrow the government. But that needs like a lot of disappointment to actually be able to do something like that.
Yeah, 100%. But the question is, okay, imagine we are some years from now and we have this beautiful, wonderful future that we dream of, right? With network state, with privacy, with security, without wars, whatever. Like how the web of this ideal web of the future looks like, and how the life looks like in this perfect circumstances when we won, let's say.
I think the perfect circumstances is voluntary cooperation or collaboration, right? So hopefully, I think the utopia is that you are not forced to do things that you don't want to do, and you willingly sacrifice some value to collaborate with other people. So you pay them for their services, and they pay you for your services, and then just willingly collaborate on things. And there will be bad actors, but there has to be some way in that new form of governance to kick the bad actors out, or punish them. That is not going away. But I think the big part of this is that if you are, I think the big problem with the nation states, and it's also, I mean, I'm not the deep thinker, right? Like that's Jared in the company, right? I'm just the guy that likes to hack on things. So I basically, whenever you ask me questions like that, I have to go back to think about, what's written in his book, because that's what I can paraphrase, right? So it's also in the book that you can fork the network state, and you can exit the network state, and you can build a new network state, right? So if I disagree with what is happening here, I can go and I can organize another cypherpunk retreat, which I can do now, but that's mainly because you don't have that monopoly, right, on that. But this nation state does. But with network state, there shouldn't be no monopoly. So if I disagree with how you are running things, then I can go and I can kind of fork the thing. And some people may go with me, or I will be there alone and maybe I need to think about it more. But also, honestly, lately I've been thinking more about how we approach the spirituality, but not in the esoteric way, but more of we have lost our approach to building tribes, right? Building communities. So I think Web3 privacy now is a tribe. People congregate regularly. People talk about things. People share ideas and they elaborate on these things. And I think that's what a network state and cyber state narrative or thinking goes towards, is that kind of a spirituality, because people want to be there. People want to collaborate on things. They have a common goal. They may disagree. It's okay. Yeah. People disagree and will always disagree. But as long as you can have a conversation and you can resolve the disagreement peacefully, then I think we are in a better spot. And so this building local, again, back to the local communities, building local tribes where people are actually willing to risk something, risk their comfort, risk their money, risk their not their life, hopefully, but their life as in I may lose some comfort if I need to do all of that other things to help other people. That is, I think, the path towards building something better. It's not just that there is a monetary incentive to be in a network state. It's more of a there is a higher level kind of transpersonal, unconscious connection between people that brings them together. I don't know. I'm not good at describing these things, but I'm trying to research more into that to be able to.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, we resolve around values, right? So we just share more or less common values, and then we come to cypherpunk, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think cypherpunk is now, and what does it mean to be a cypherpunk, and how to become one?
Interesting. So as someone who I first started thinking about privacy roughly half a year after I joined Waku, which was basically when I got asked to prepare a presentation for eFrom, for first eFrom. And so I was so what can I say about privacy? What do I know about privacy? And I was one of the people before that that would be saying, well, if I have nothing to hide, I had nothing to worry about. So I prepared a presentation called You Have Nothing to Hide, where I told people that they all have something to hide and that it's okay. So I think that if you want to be a cypherpunk, you need to think about that everybody has something to hide and it's okay. And if you agree with this statement, then you already are on the way to be a cypherpunk. And then the next step is, how do I make sure that everybody has a way to hide things and decide how and when and where they are disclosed? And how can I help other people and myself to be able to do that? And that will lead you to using tools or building tools for privacy and censorship resistance. And that makes you the true cypherpunk in that old common sense, like cypherpunks write code and all these things, right? Even just using the application. But I think that just the realization that privacy is normal, privacy is a human right, everybody has something to hide, is making you different from the mainstream and making you a cypherpunk.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll have to round up soon. Like, quick question here, more like practical, let's say. What would you recommend for a builder who wants to build or is building censorship resistant tool or like just a privacy thing? Like, from your personal experience, like what did you learn that can be useful for someone who is like going this more or less similar path?
Okay. So I would basically say two things. One thing is local first, because that solves a lot of issues of like, okay, so where do I run the server that has the data and how do I protect it from others, right? So if it's local first, then it's kind of a natively peer-to-peer. You can start thinking about how do I sync data where with whom. And so local first, researching local first and what are the tools, what are the approaches there. And the second thing is people often talk about decentralized applications, and I hate the term because I don't know what it means. So what I say is that for me, decentralized application has a bunch of properties. It is private, so it doesn't leak data. It doesn't leak information about users. It is censorship resistant. It cannot be taken down, ideally, ever by anyone, which is hard, but maybe. It's permissionless, so anybody can use it. I don't have a subscription plan for the application that you have to go through so that you can use my platform. So it has to be permissionless. It has to be accessible, so I have to be able to run it on my phone or on my laptop or on a massive server somewhere. It has to use end-to-end encryption for every single thing that it does over the network. And I think there was a few more. I always make a list and then I forget what is there. But these properties, like if you think about these properties when you are building things, maybe you need to compromise on some. But if you just like, I'm going to pick censorship resistant and I will ignore everything else, then you don't have a decentralized application. If you want to build a decentralized application, I think thinking about these properties is what I would recommend to people.
Just your last hot take on privacy.
Hot take on privacy?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a hot take on privacy. I have realized that people don't care about privacy. And it's very hard to sell. And it's like whenever you start talking about your tool being privacy preserving, and they're like,
it's just a problem that doesn't exist.
I talk about censorship resistance instead, because people care about that way more. And the reason why they care is that the example I give is that, okay, so you post on Facebook and you post this amazing meme and everybody should laugh or a joke or something and nobody laughs. What does it mean? Why is nobody laughing? Is it a bad joke? No, it's just Facebook censoring you, not showing it to other people. So they let you use the platform, they let you post, but they don't show it to anyone else. And that's a form of censorship. So I think for people, it is important to understand that censorship can happen on many levels in many ways. And I think censorship resistance is a way easier way to selling the privacy narrative to people, because to be censorship resistant, you also need privacy. It just doesn't work without it. If I know exactly who you are, where you are, what you are doing, and why are you doing that, regardless of what is that and how uncensorable is my platform, I can still come after you physically, right? Or I can come after you in other ways, other means. So having censorship resistant demands having privacy. And I think that's easier to explain to people than just like, what is privacy?
100% agree. That's a really good example of memes. It's something practical. But we actually, for us personally, we don't aim like general public. We understand that like first we need to explain that it's a problem, and then we will need the budget of a country to do that, to like explain to everyone. That's why we focus more on developers or people that are more like privacy aware. And then they just build tools that are privacy by default. Because like users, they don't care about what's under the hood.
100%. But if you, I mean, ideally we build tools that we don't have to talk about that they are private. It just works, and it has amazing UX. And we see that in some tools like Fileverse and other things. But sometimes there are cases like with developers or with some specific groups of people like journalists that you need to emphasize it, and then the distinction between privacy and censorship resistance may help for people to understand or grasp the idea better, or be able to buy into it without a lot of like too many examples and too much struggle.
Yeah, that's a beautiful example and great reference. Thanks for that. So thanks for joining us for a talk.
Thank you,
Václav. Thanks for watching. Ciao.